So Todd McFarlane has stepped in it on X on Twitter because he came out and said on a podcast, I think it was Escape Pod, that he actually is a big fan of AI and he thinks that there's going to be quite a future in using AI for creatives, for comic book people, for animation people. And he doesn't get what the big deal is, what all the hate is.
Yeah, mostly when I saw him was like, I don't get why people are so upset about it. And you know, someone else I saw posted that Gen X doesn't seem to care as much.
No.
Because we were around when everything went digital. And the same wringing of hands, the same behavior happened when everything went digital as it's going with the AI issue. But both cases, you need people to make it go. Now, the digital more so than the AI. But yeah.
Yeah, so we'll talk about this because I am old enough, being Gen X, to remember when digital tablets were introduced, when they were demonizing colorists who use Photoshop, all of these things. And for me, like personally, when AI was introduced and it was starting to get to a place where it actually could do, with some coaching, could do professional caliber work, I'm like, awesome. That makes making things a lot easier. That should be a good thing, right? Well, no, because it makes it so easy that a lot of people that are making things right now don't necessarily need to be involved anymore. So that's what this is all about. It's about fear of losing jobs, which I get. But, I was one of those digital colorists that replaced traditional colorists. And I remember I got an earful from a guy who used to color. He colored Disney comics before I colored Disney comics, and he's basically like, yeah, you guys came in and basically took my job. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, sorry, dude. I didn't know it wasn't intentional. It's easier for the company to work digitally, right? You used to have to mail your hand-drawn comic art to the offices in New York, and then it got to a place where you could just, send them digital files. It was so much easier. But then what happened was, because it became so much easier, a lot of American artists were put out of work because they're like, well, if we can get digital files from anybody, then we can work with people in like Brazil and India.
But the flip side is too that, you could learn to use it.
Yes.
If it's something that even if you don't ever use it, the fact that in case you need to use it and to stay competitive, you should at least learn to use it. My mom was talking to our nephew about going to school and saying that he just absolutely hates AI, as our kids hate it too. Understandable. And he, was talking about that. My mom said, well, why don't you do something with AI? Just the fact that if you know how to use it, maybe you can make sure it's used for good, not things that you're worried about, But that's just where it is. It's like people are afraid of it, but because they won't touch it, even to learn how to, to protect against it, they're going to end up being obsolete and they're just hastening their demise.
Yeah, and as somebody who does work with it, I'm telling you, it's not as capable. It's not the boogeyman that you all think it is. It really does need a human operator. It's like being afraid of a mech suit that nobody's piloting. Like, okay, it can't pilot itself. You've got to get inside the suit.
Because you're afraid it's going to pilot itself.
You're afraid it's going to pilot itself, and maybe they could try that, but it's not going to work very well. Anyway, we'll talk about this because this is Todd McFarlane, who is a legendary comic book creator. Todd McFarlane is the guy who created Spawn. He's the head of McFarlane Toys, and he actually took his comic book fame and comic book money and transitioned it into other businesses. He probably still is, I would say, the biggest commercially successful Spider-Man artist of all time. As far as actually getting paid for it, because for years, they just lifted Spider-Man art and put it on SpaghettiOs or whatever. But Todd McFarlane was basically, if you were into comics, he was a household name in the 90s. McFarlane and Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee. And Rob Liefeld's getting a lot of hate, too, because Rob Liefeld's basically like, hey, comics sold a lot better in the 90s than they do now, and here's why. But, well, people don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear it. And they don't like to hear what Todd has to say as a businessman. He's more of a businessman now than he is an artist. And all he's looking at is, I can make more cool stuff faster, and we can kind of cut to the chase, and we can get things out the door faster.
Well, he's not saying replace artists. He's just saying use it as a tool, which is what you keep saying, what you've been saying. My problem with it mostly is I don't want to see people lose too many jobs, and I worry about the environmental impact. But using something as a tool to just aid along with people, I think is fine.
And that's what I've always been.
That's what you've always said.
Pushing.
Yes.
And I keep trying to, because people don't understand, there is a nuance here. I'm not talking grandma making AI slop and churning out AI slop YouTube videos and all that stuff. I'm talking about actually using a trained AI model to help you, the human, make better art faster. So because we have a limited time on this earth, you can actually tell more stories, do more stuff, and it's still yours, just the same as you drawing something on a Cintiq is yours.
Right. Yeah, we're like talking ethically trained AI, not like we're scraping everybody's stuff.
Not scraping other people's
We're talking
stuff.
like they're trained on your own work, your own style, your stuff. If you want to use that AI, not taking anybody else's stuff into it. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So these are different conversations, but I think Todd's on the same page that I am, and we're going to watch this video. It's getting all kinds of backlash now because if you even mention AI, even like you said, ethical use of it, not scraping other people's stuff, but using it as a tool, you're the devil. And what's going to happen is all these people that are complaining are going to put themselves out of work a lot faster because the companies are going to look at the cost savings, the time savings, and they're going to be
inevitable. It's
inevitable.
It's inevitably going to happen. You're better to at least know how to use it than not. Maybe you'll be lucky and they won't ever get to that point, but I don't think that's going to happen. So you're better to at least know what you're doing with it and how to use it properly and ethically, so that if it comes to a point where you can you sink or swim, you'll be able to swim.
So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do. Go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's moreclownfishtv.com for more Clownfish TV. You can listen to Geeky rip YouTube a new one.
I did.
Because they totally deserve it.
That's why it's not on here.
So. They don't like it very much when you rip them a new one on YouTube.
I did. I think I said F you a few times.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Neil don't like that. Neil don't like it. If you want to check out the audio version, go out to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. You can listen to us. You don't have to watch us. So there you go. All right. Should take a look at this. This is coming from Spidey Does Stuff, who is disgusted with Todd McFarlane. The person that inspired me to draw comics just said some bullshit that actually makes me upset. Screw Todd.
Well, you still be inspired by what he used to draw. He doesn't really draw a whole lot now, and still not agree with him now. Like, for example, me and Kneon don't even get along on this. I am much more anti-AI than he is.
If it makes my job easier, I will kill a squirrel. No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't kill a squirrel.
The look I'm giving him right now.
I believe, and I've said
not effing kill squirrels.
I have been saying since the beginning, I believe in it as a tool. I believe in ethically training your AI on your own stuff. I don't see any problem with that any more than using a Cintiq or Photoshop or whatever on your own stuff. I don't see a difference. I don't know why people think it's different. It's technology's technology, right? It's just better technology than what we had before. And now
they already have the AI tools integrated into those digital art programs.
Everything your bank, your browser, your email. Literally, if you're so anti-AI just across the board, you need to get off the internet right now. Shut this video off because even YouTube has AI. Shut it off and go buy some books and go get a candle or something and sit by the candle and read your books, because that's basically
that actually sounds like a good time. But anyway,
it does. Just don't light the books on fire with the candle. That's not a good time. But let's take a look at this. Okay, so I think this is coming from Musty Kid on TikTok, but I think it's actually the Escape Pod podcast. I think.
What are your opinions on AI, specifically in artistic spaces?
I don't get what why people are so worked up. I don't get it.
You don't get why people are upset about it?
Yeah. I don't, and here's why. Like, they're a tool. It's a tool. And we can break down this tool in a minute, and I will. But if we just look at it as an efficiency, it's a tool that's efficient.
Yes. And this is what I've been saying the whole time. So
yeah,
not
but people are upset about is when these tools are trained on stolen things.
Right. And that's a whole nother discussion. What I'm talking about is currently, I'm not talking about how AI got started. They basically had to teach AI the basics. Now, the thing is, though, if you want to get into the weeds, you could say, well, how do humans learn how to draw? How do humans learn how to write? You're training yourself on other people's work, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so that's a whole nother issue. But right now, as it currently stands, we're at the place where you don't have to scrape other people's art. You literally can train your own assistant but you're going to have to be willing to work with it and realize that you're still going to do some work. You don't just like push some magic buttons and it's a magic art factory. You got to know what the hell you're actually doing. But we're at the place now where you can cut your workload down by a third, 2/3, and have a life. Wouldn't it be nice as a comic book artist to have a life, to get a page done in maybe 3 or 4 hours versus 12 hours, and then be able to go home with your family?
As long as you're doing it ethically.
As long as you're doing it ethically.
Every tool that's come along in the history of mankind put somebody out of business.
Yes.
Right? Somebody along the line was selling a lot of buckboard wagons, and then somebody said, I'm going to invent a car. And then it's like, okay, why don't we worry? Why don't we cry for them? Right? So then all of a sudden the word processor came up, and now they're selling less pencils. Right? Because we don't need pencils anymore. We can just do it on here. Matter of fact, we don't even need paper. We can just do it on here.
But we still have paper. We still have pencils. We still have analog art tools, even though the majority of commercial art is done digitally. It's not as common. But if you want to go get a crow quill pen and fountain pen and do some calligraphy, you can still do it. There's a market for it. It's not very big, but there's a market for it, right? Maybe your art will be worth more because not as many people will be doing it by hand.
And send it in digital, and we didn't cry for them, right? So there used to be VHSs, and then it went to DVDs, and now you can just stream it, right? The people who are making DVDs are out of business for the most part. 90% of them don't exist.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately. But now DVDs, so this is the thing too. DVDs are making a comeback. And I just read the other week that somebody released a direct to VHS movie because people want the analog stuff now because the digital stuff is not permanent. They want the analog, they want the physical. There's always going to be a place for hand-drawn physical art. You technically can hang a print of an AI something on a wall, but you're never going to have an original. But that could also be true of digital art. If you do a painting,
same thing.
Yeah, you do a painting in Photoshop, there is no original. Actually, your original is destroyed every time you save that file. You're destroying the other file and replacing it with a new file. So there is no original per se. And I remember a whole conversation. Artists were like, it's basically artists want to make themselves feel better about what they do because artists are insecure to begin with. But they were like, if you're using Photoshop and you're using digital tools, well, that's cheating because you have unlimited undos. And I'm like, you'd rather sit there and redraw an entire comic book panel because you effed up? Wouldn't it be so much?
I don't know how to use it, so I'm going to complain about it.
That's it. Yeah. And a lot of these people, we found out with the tablets, their complaint was they couldn't afford the equipment. They couldn't afford the computer. They couldn't afford the tablet. And yeah, the barrier to entry when digital color was new was pretty high. It was pretty high. You had to have a beefy computer. You had to be able to run Photoshop. You had to be able to run, the tablets at the time. So you're looking at, several $1,000s investment.
You would take a loan for all your stuff.
I took a loan out when I first started doing this stuff. Yeah. So it's,
it predated me, by the way, just saying.
It did. But I learned how to do this stuff. And I also was making money. I was telling people before, making money hand coding websites and all that stuff. You think comics are going to be around forever? You think that the way of doing things now is going to be around forever? You got to move, man. You got to move. When it's obvious that things are changing, you can either change with it or complain about it, or you can't stop it. You're not going to stop it. So
why don't we cry for them? Yeah. So if there's an efficiency, the problem with any new tool, is it can be used for both good and bad.
Yes.
So I can give you a hammer, and you can either build me a house or you can bludgeon me over the head with it. Same tool, right? Yep. So I think what the people maybe at times are getting a little bit upset are that they're thinking that they're stealing artwork or something like that. But I swear to you, there's an efficiency there. We are just talking to a couple people in the animation. I still need to hire you, and I need you to do some gun designs for me. If you want to use that tool, you don't have to. If you're great, you don't have to. But if you want to use that tool, you can now give me 20 options I need you to show me at the end of the day your weapons. You can give me 20 options, and I got 20 to look at, and I can pick the 2 best.
Yeah, see, he thinks like a businessman. This is why, like, and it's the same with Rob Liefeld and the same with Robert Kirkman and a lot of the guys who have been incredibly successful in comics. Mark Miller, they think like business people, right?
You have to be. You have to do it that way. You have to think both ways.
Like if you start thinking like I'm artsy fartsy and I'm whatever, that's fine. That's all you're ever going to be. If you want to be, people are like, I don't understand why these guys are so big. It's like because they were business people. They knew that their time in comics was probably limited, and they knew they had to push into some other stuff. And they basically struck while the iron was hot. And all these people just want to just sit around and kibitz about, oh, what am I going to do? The page rates are bad. And like diamonds folded. Like comic shops are shutting down. Monthly comic sales are terrible. But you're going to sit there and this is the hill you're going to die on. You're basically going to put yourself out of work because you refuse to work with the new tools. And they're going to step right over you. Mm-hmm. They are. It's inevitable.
If I leave it to you and you got to hand draw every single one of them and you don't got any kind of guidance, you're going to give me 3. And if all 3 of them are mediocre, I am stuck with mediocrity from you. But if you can give me 20 with a little bit of help, shoot, we're going to come up with a cool looking gun in the animation show we're doing or something like that. I don't like, our job is to put out the coolest stuff possible.
Yes. I mean, why is that hard to understand?
Because people are just mad about it in general because they're really concerned about it. Like I said, the ethical use of it and the fact that they're worried that grandma with using it's going to put them out of work.
But that's
again,
not going to happen.
I know that. I know that because I know you know how to use the tools. Most of us only hear what you hear. We aren't out there actively using the tools.
No, because they're afraid of it.
You see examples of people putting stuff out there, but they're not understanding that some of the stuff they put out there took a lot of people working with it and people who knew what they were doing and all this other stuff. And it looks really impressive, but it wasn't just like we typed in a couple prompts and that's what came out.
Right. There's a lot of nuance. Just like you can give grandma Photoshop and she might be able to put together a really crude meme or something for Facebook friends, or you can give Photoshop to somebody who's a trained artist who has all the tools and has all the settings set up, whatever. You're going to get very different results. A lot of what we're seeing with the early AI that's like AI slop, it's slop because we have people that are not artists in a lot of cases doing this stuff just via prompt. They don't fully understand because they don't have the artist sensibility, right? But when you team that up and you've got some of these people that worked in Hollywood or whatever putting these Star Wars fan films out and they're actually doing it the right way. I mean, yeah, they're using the Star Wars IP, but that's a whole other thing. I'm just saying, like, they actually are looking at it as a tool and they're using their knowledge and their experience. You get a vastly different result. Right. But these people are so terrified they won't even entertain the option of using it. But a big reason why is because they're terrified of their peers. And the thing is that Todd McFarlane famously said, or infamously said a couple of years ago when, all the comic shops were imploding during the pandemic. And he said, look, I'm not going to sign a suicide pact with all these other publishers. He just does his own thing because he's a businessman. He wants to stay in business. You got to stop caring.
I think this one comment's hilarious, though. Then I think back to me redrawing panels of his during lockdown because school was out, and this shirt hurts. It hurts like a brick. This shit hurts like a brick. I'm like, so you were copying his work during lockdown, but you're mad about AI because it copies people's work.
Yeah. So this is why Greg Land gets work. They don't care anymore. Look, the companies care about getting the stuff out. But yeah, no, he's admitting to copying Todd's
That's what I'm saying.
work.
It's like you're doing the same thing, but it's okay because you're a person. But I'm just saying, if you're mad by AI because it steals other people's things, you're drawing his stuff to learn how to draw like him or draw his stuff to learn. It's the same kind of thing. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big fan of AI. By any means, I'm not. I think it's overused. I think that they're using it as an excuse to get rid of people. I think it's costing jobs. I think I'm worried about the environmental impact. I'm not a huge AI person. That being said, I think if it's a tool that someone's using and it's trained on only their stuff and it's trained to be just to be helpful to speed up things 30% or whatever, okay, you're not using it out there to go make memes and go do chats and 50,000 times a day and all that stuff. And I don't have a problem with that. But I think what he's describing is more like that, using it as a tool. But I can see both sides of it. I can see people are worried about it, but I also think that maybe you should learn how to use it for no other reason than if it does become inevitable, you're ready to go.
I think people are doing it in secret because now, like, if there's any whiff of potential AI use, I'm telling you right now, 95% of the stuff, the commercial art that's being produced right now, that's been put on the shelves, not just comics, it may include comics, but definitely like packaging art and video game assets, all this stuff. They're all using AI. There's a guy working in a studio said that they're all using AI now. They're just not admitting to it until they get busted because it's so obvious it was AI. But they're all using it because it is such a time saver.
I mean, look at this comment. It's a classic phenomenon of professionals who develop a successful career before the shift. And then they tell your boss that they have to adapt because it doesn't impact them, basically. And it's like, it's been impacting them. He's not wrong. Like, even in comics and digital art, there have been so many shifts. And then when it goes there, you weren't there when everybody was losing their shit saying the same things when it went digital that a lot of you use without thinking about it. And the digital programs that you're using have AI stuff in it. You just don't realize it. And that one guy next to it, well, I can understand his argument. From his eyes, he sounds like he's just being really misinformed. You do
from his eyes.
From listen, dude. If you're using any kind of digital assist with your art in any way, shape, or form, and you're making your art with the computers at all, you're using AI. I'm just telling you straight up. Any of those programs, you're using AI.
Guess who runs X? X is actually part of XAI, right? It's part of...
Yeah, you're on here complaining about it on a place run by AI.
It's basically a Grok. You're basically feeding Grok. Every time you tweet, you're feeding Grok. Do you not understand? Do you not understand you've already lost? It's already over. Now it's just a case of now we have this technology. We have the fire from Prometheus. What do we do with it? Do we burn each other down with it, or do we make stuff with it? And that's what he was saying. He's like, you can give two people the same tool, and some people are going to use it for destruction, and some people are going to use it to create. But
I don't think he really cares that you guys are mad about it.
No, he doesn't. Todd, that's one thing I've always loved about Todd, and I've always loved about Rob Liefeld, and that whole generation of artists did not give a fuck what you thought. And that's why
like the honey
were
badgers of comics.
Yeah, they were. Why were they successful? They don't give a shit if your feelings are hurt. They don't care if they get ostracized from the group because they're there to see how far they can push it. And like if they weren't in charge of Image, Todd and Rob and Jim Lee back when he had a pair, if they weren't in charge of Image never would have happened because all the other people at Marvel would have been like, well, I don't want so-and-so to feel bad going out on my own. That might just make people feel bad. Can't do that. My peers might not like me. Nothing would have happened. Nothing would have happened. You need
balls
people
back then, more so than now. But I get it. If you don't like AI, it's not a problem. Just don't use it. But unfortunately, you're going to look into everything you use on a daily basis. Using your phone, AI. Are you posting from your computer or your phone onto here? Are you going through Google to get to X and all that to post on here? You're using AI.
Yeah.
Are you using digital stuff to make your art and things like that? You're using AI. It's like when they had to fit up blockchain, and I'm like, but even your banks and stuff that you're using online is all using blockchain. So you're using it anyway. So you need to look. I mean, if you're going to say I'm not going to use AI because I don't want to, do that for art, don't do it for art. But realize, as you're typing it out on here, it's using AI.
They're like, Todd doesn't understand how it works. They don't understand how it works.
He's not wrong.
He's not. This is a guy who's done more in comics, and he's made movies. He's made TV shows. He works in the animation industry, the toy design industry. He's got one of the biggest indie toy companies out there. You don't think he knows how this shit works? Are you really that? Are you going to say that you random X user know more about this than he does, when he's probably got all kinds of people working for him that are telling him this and that, and he's probably being invited to test things because of the company.
Well, wait, I'm looking at this picture here. Click on the picture here. He said, he goes, what was it showing? Like these are guns.
The 20 guns he was talking about.
So these are 20 guns. Look at this. But I'm saying, are they pulling them from someplace else? Because he said, I asked for 20 different cool looking guns, but you didn't specify that are unique, that are original.
They're actually pretty good. I mean, I'm sorry. They're pretty decent looking. He said, okay, Todd asked AI, give me 20 different cool looking guns. It's totally not pulling them from pre-existing ideas. What do we think, guys?
No, I think his point is that they're like look like other guns that people have seen, but you're just giving it. You didn't tell it to make up completely new or whatever, you know. And it takes a lot more than that. You have to tweak it. Well, I don't like the way that looks, so you need to tweak this, and this about it. Just doing that's going to generate something like this. It's not going to generate what you want.
Well, that's what Sean Ward here says in the comments. He says, and a professional who knows the tools well would 100% enter "show me 20 guns" as a prompt. That's absolutely how it works.
Yeah, no, see, that's what I'm saying. Anybody types that in, they're not going to get, because they're not knowing how to use it. Like in the hands of someone who knows how to program it, knows how to prompt it, you're going to get results that are not the same as Joe Blow idiot who just types in 20 guns, please, and that's what they get.
Yeah. So I don't know, guys.
I'm not defending AI. I'm just saying that you're going on about the argument is bad, and it's a bad faith argument as you make other bad faith arguments.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody who doesn't even think AI is that great. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, so there we go, guys. This is gonna be interesting. He just doesn't care. I mean, he got called out before,
care.
and we need more people that don't give a shit working.
It's not going away, and it basically is the same as when we got digital. And so I'm telling you, it was the same kind of behavior, same kind of arguments, and here we are. It's the standard. And you know, and they said, well, you weren't really an artist because you're using digital, but now everybody's like, well, I'm a digital artist, and everybody's like, oh, you're still, you know, they just think, oh, you're an artist. They don't even question the digital part.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
it's the same thing.
Oh, well, that's your problem, I guess. Just do what you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
We're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.